MSNBC tries everything in this video to expose Trump, humiliate him, and portray him as unelectable. But for me, it had exact opposite effect, and I believe it did for you too. Give it a try and see yourself.
Donald Trump is the same guy he's always been, and yet Republicans, I mean, God bless them, still think he's capable of being someone else entirely. Now, I have to say, it's 2024, been doing this for a little bit. I have personally covered hundreds of new tone for Donald Trump news cycles over all these years. Most recently, we heard it after he survived a genuinely terrifying close call assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. And in the lead up to the RNC, we heard that he changed. He'd mellowed. He was all about unity. As one convention delegate told reporters, the real estate salesman, I think, is a different person. It's a good thing. Humility goes a long way in politics and attracts far more people. I think he's seeing God. Does that sound familiar? Haven't we been hearing this stuff for the better part of a decade?
He became president of the United States in that moment, period. He did something tonight that you cannot take away from him. He became president of the United States.
You saw that humanity, you saw that unity on display.
I think you're going to see a lot of reporters talking about the moment President Trump became presidential once again. It seems like with every serious address he does, we saw it with his first address to Congress last year, it's about how he acted.
7 years. We've been doing this for 7 years. At this point, it's like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. There's not a lot of narrative suspense about what's going to happen. Yet if you listen to what Republican insiders are still telling reporters, they want Trump to do a pivot. They want him to be more disciplined. They want him to be more presidential. And this time, it will be for real.
You've got to make this race not on personalities. Stop questioning the size of her crowds and start questioning her position when it comes to what did she do as Attorney General on crime.
Don't wander off. Don't call her stupid and all kinds of names. Stay on message.
The winning formula for President Trump is very plain to see. It's fewer insults, more insights, and that policy contrast.
We can help our candidates at every level by speaking the truth to them respectfully. I have some familiarity with that. I did it for 4 years.
Trump is definitively rough, around the edges, sometimes even downright rude. But thank God he isn't one of those narrow-minded, politically correct bootlickers who sell their soul in the Washington swamp just to end up kissing the boots of the elite to buy their way into office. At least that's the impression you get with Kamala.
I almost got hanged for it, but I did keep it respectful. Mike Pence, of all people, should know you can't change Donald Trump. Yet people keep falling into the same old trap. Even the people who joined the Trump 2024 bandwagon at its peak, the people who bought the stock at its highest right after the convention. Some of them showed up to a Trump fundraiser earlier this month on Long Island, including billionaire hedge funders like Bill Ackman. According to the New York Times, at the dinner that evening, Harrison Lefrak, the scion of a New York real estate family whose father is an old friend of Mr. Trump's, asked how Mr. Trump planned to take the narrative back from Democrats, what his positive vision for the country would be. It appeared to be a request for reassurance. Mr. Trump provided none. Instead, he criticized Ms. Harris on a range of fronts before adding, "I am who I am." Say this for the guy, he has more self-awareness, more awareness about himself than a shocking number of people in Republican politics. He won't change. And you know who else understands this? The voters do. Like the ones in this focus group held after Trump's first joint address to Congress and the nation as president back in 2017. That was the one that pundits called so presidential.
That is no way the real Donald Trump.
No way.
Real Donald Trump will surface in probably less than 2 hours.
Let's focus on tonight. I think this is the Donald Trump needs to be, and the next thing he needs to do is delete his Twitter feed.
Absolutely.
How many of you don't like what he does on Twitter? Raise your hands. How many of you voted for him and don't like what he does on Twitter?
Do you even have Twitter if you voted for him? Do you have Twitter? Because that's where you're going to see your real president. If you don't have Twitter, you cannot defend Donald Trump.
You know what I think the difference between Trump and the Democrats is? Donald Trump might often speak awkwardly, that's true. But his results for the country are unbeatable. With the Democrats, it's the other way around. They speak very smoothly. But what comes out in the end is just total disaster for the country. I don't know what you think, but I believe a few misguided tweets are still better than another 4 years of open borders and rising prices.
Probably worth mentioning here that in advance of last night's Twitter show with Musk, Donald Trump got back to posting on the site. That's the platform that he was kicked off on for inciting a deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and attempting to end the American democratic experiment. Meanwhile, the Democrats, well, they got something new. They have an open horizon in front of them as they enter a convention united with a popular, energetic ticket, a messaging opportunity we have not seen in our lifetimes. The Republicans, they got the same horse they've been riding since 2015. Jamel Bouie is an opinion columnist for the New York Times. His column today is titled, What the Republican Party Might Look Like If Trump Loses. John Favreau is a former head speechwriter for President Obama. He's a co-founder of Crooked Media, where he co-hosts the podcast Pod Save America, and they both join me now.
What do you think a former employee of Barack Obama is going to say about Trump? I guess you don't need a crystal ball for that.
Jamel, there was a lot in that Times piece. The Hamptons, the scene at the Hamptons fundraiser with the rich folks being like, so what's the positive message here? And him being like, what are you talking about? I am who I am. I just thought, I don't know if like people are willfully blind to this or they're lying to themselves or lying to other reporters. But like, as you write in your column, he is who he is. We all know who he is.
Angela Merkel, the former Chancellor of Germany, won all elections over 16 years with the slogan, you know me. So what's so bad about that?
Yeah, it's really bizarre to see people just consistently refuse to take Trump as he presents himself. I honestly find it so troubling almost that these ostensibly intelligent people would be like surprised by the fact that Trump doesn't have any secret plan to get positive. It's almost as if they are doing the exact same thing that I think a lot of voters did in 2016, which is assume that because Trump is rich and because he's on television and because people listen to him, therefore there must be something else there, when there just really isn't.
John, this was we found this. He was at a rally, I think, in Pennsylvania on July 31st. Which again, like, I don't think of him as a particularly self-aware person, but he can weirdly be sort of self-aware. And I think actually to the degree that he does have some genuine political talent, which he certainly does, it partly grows out of this strange self-referential. But this is what he had to say at a rally when he was telling people back then, like, I'm not doing the unity shtick. Take a listen.
You know, when I got hit, everybody thought I was going to be a nice guy. And they thought I changed. Remember, just before the Republican convention, they all said, Trump is going to be a nice man now. He came close to death. And I really agreed with that for about 8 hours or so. And then I realized they were trying to put me in prison for doing absolutely nothing wrong.
I mean, it's totally perfect.
Trump is just authentic, unlike those fake faces who pretend they find it funny. Take a closer look.
I mean, he's true to who he is, right? He is angry. He is filled with grievance. I also think that he believes that an angry Trump is more effective and more true to his message than a nicer Trump who wants unity, because what he's trying to tell people is that the system is all screwed up, our institutions are broken, the country's a horrible place, and you need to be angry about that, and you need someone who's angry who's going to take the system down. So I think that he's always running in a Republican primary. That's his whole shtick, right? Like, he doesn't know how to reach out to moderate voters. He doesn't know how to reach out to the middle. He won in 2016 because he barely got the Republican Party, unified, and he got turnout up a little bit, and then he kept it close in 2020. But he's never really made a move in these last 7 years to win over undecided, persuadable voters. And so he thinks that the angry shtick is who he is, and he thinks it's going to work for him.
Maybe the smooth-talking bootlicker should read a biographic about Trump. This man isn't lucky. This man have passion, and even so, they tried everything to destroy him. He once again on the direct path to the White House. God bless America. Don't forget to subscribe. Better today than tomorrow.